Convicted killer Kimberly Kessler will spend the rest of her life in prison for the murder of 34-year-old Joleen Cummings. Cummings was reported missing in May 2018, and her body has never been found. In December, Kessler was found guilty of her murder. The two women worked together at Tangle's hair salon in Fernandina Beach. Life in prison is the mandatory sentence in a first-degree murder case where the death penalty isn't sought. But Judge James Daniel said the sentence would be imposed whether required or not. Even if it wasn't a mandatory sentence, life without the possibility of parole would absolutely be appropriate, he said in the Nassau County courtroom. Kessler's mental health has been an issue in the case from the beginning. After initially declaring her mentally incompetent to go to trial, the judge later said Kessler was capable of understanding the case against her. She also had used multiple aliases across several states. The 53-year-old refused to participate in the trial, however, and created disruptions during her brief court appearances. She spent most of the trial in a separate room with a video link to the proceedings. At one point, emaciated from self-starvation, Kessler sat in an anti-suicide smock staring at the camera during a hearing and screamed an obscenity at the judge. Jail officials also informed the court she'd regularly strip naked and spread feces on the window of her observation cell. Kessler's case encountered years of delays because she was initially found not competent to stand trial. That decision was later reversed. In Kessler's motion to dismiss her conviction, she claims there is a lack of evidence that Cummings is dead and that Cummings should be considered a missing person, not a murder victim. Kessler argues that enhanced penalties in this case should not be applied since Cummings was a hairdresser and not a law enforcement officer. She also accuses witnesses of lying and claims she was at a gym in Jacksonville during the time that surveillance video shows her leaving Cummings' vehicle in a parking lot in Nassau County, the night she disappeared. A closer look at more surveillance video saw Kessler discarding a trash bag and emptying a trash can into dumpsters near the hair salon that weekend. That led deputies and the FBI to a week-long mid-July search in the Chesser landfill in Charlton County, GA. Evidence also determined there had been a struggle at the salon, including Cummings' blood on Kessler's scissors and boots. Evidence showed that Kessler purchased several items such as an electric carving knife, zip ties, and garbage bags used to clean up the crime scene and dispose of the body. Kessler was initially charged with auto theft of Cummings' SUV and was kept behind bars on $500,000 bail. She was eventually indicted on the murder charge. Kessler had been using aliases since 1996. Authorities know of at least 25 aliases she used in 35 cities and 14 states. She underwent multiple evaluations and court hearings to determine her competency and caused several disruptions throughout the process. She also went on a hunger strike and lost a substantial amount of weight. On Wednesday, the prosecution rested after a detective told the jury about Kessler's internet search history in the days leading up to and following Cummings' disappearance. The defense then called just one witness and also rested after a little more than an hour. 10:25 a.m. She wasn't a concerned coworker searching for updates on the case. She was a murderer on the run. The state tells the jury in regard to internet searches after Cummings disappeared. 10:16 a.m. Assistant Public Defender Thomas Townsend argues Kessler's search history has been taken out of context. He says evidence shows lack of a plan, preparation, or premeditation. Says the only proof was there was a fight between the two. 9:53 a.m. Townsend is giving his closing arguments. He addresses Kessler's absence. Paraphrased, everyone's due process right is respected even if they do not want to participate. 9:40 a.m. Prosecutor lists theories for a motive. Cummings called Kessler fake and said she was going to look her up online. Kessler was using a fake name at the time. Kessler did not like Cummings and called her a meth addict. Kessler wanted Cummings' hair clients. She wanted to murder. 9:31 a.m. The state is now sharing its theories. Assistant State Attorney Donna Thurston claims Kessler murdered Joleen and removed her body by cutting her up with the electric knife she bought at Walmart. Cummings' family is visibly shaken up after the state says this. 9:27 a.m. The state has laid out a timeline from April 30th, 2018 to May 16th, 2018, and describes the defendant planning a murder and doing research online to then murdering Joleen Cummings on May 12th and cleaning up that night and the days after. 9:20 a.m. Thurston says Kessler spent weeks premeditating killing Cummings based on her internet search history. A day before Cummings disappeared, Thurston says, Cummings told Kessler, "Go away. I don't like you. You are fake." 9:04 a.m. Thurston argues Kessler used her own haircutting scissors to kill Cummings, whose blood and DNA were found on them. Thurston lists the places blood was found. You don't see pools of blood because the defendant spent 2 days cleaning up the mess she made, but she left evidence. 8:54 a.m. The state says Cummings is dead. Despite her body never being found, the state says witnesses knew her for years and she would not abandon her children. 8:42 a.m. Prosecutor Donna Thurston begins closing arguments. 8:38 a.m. Judge Daniel brings Kessler to the courtroom to invite her to stay, but she refuses to not disrupt the court. She can be heard yelling, "Jordan Beard is Joleen Cummings' cousin," down the hallway. Once again, that statement has been proven false. 8:32 a.m. Important note from First Coast News reporter Leah Shields in the courtroom. In full transparency, I witnessed the women talking in front of the courthouse this morning. I reported it to the bailiff. My grandfather was a Florida Circuit Court judge, and I know how important this trial is. Out of precaution and respect for the court, I reported it. 8:29 a.m. The judge is addressing a woman named Michelle in the gallery. He says it has come to his attention that she had interactions outside of the courtroom with 2 jurors. She promises she only talked to the women about their hair. 8:15 a.m. Court is scheduled to resume, with closing arguments to begin. The case is expected to go to the jury later in the day.